Hello boys, welcome back to another session of video tutorials. This session is meant for class 11th biology boys, and in this session we are going to talk about anatomy of flowering plants, and this video is meant for 29th June 2020. If you recollect from your memory, we were discussing about morphology of flowering plants in our previous sessions. Morphology, I said, is the study of external features of a plant or an animal. In this session, we are going to talk about anatomy of flowering plants, means study of internal organs, tissues and their properties. So basically, this should have a background of histology, means study of tissues and properties. So based on that, we go for the anatomy. Let's see what are all happening. As I said, study of internal organization of living organisms is anatomy, and histology should be the basis for that. And as I said, histology is study of tissues and tissue system in multicellular organisms. What is a tissue? Of course, in junior classes you have studied. It is group of cells which are of similar kind and origin and forming a group. And in plants there are two types of tissues: meristematic tissue and permanent tissues. In meristematic tissues, of course, is a very specialized tissue which is present only in plants. None of the animals are having meristematic tissue. And what is the speciality of this meristematic tissue? It makes the plant to grow and grow throughout life. So plants grow throughout life because of the presence of meristematic tissue, whereas animals cannot grow throughout life. Until certain years of lifespan, we all grow, animals grow, but plants grow throughout, as you have observed in your gardens. And this meristematic tissue, depending upon the position where it is located, is divided into three tissues. Apical meristematic tissue, first one, apical meristematic tissue. Second, intercalary meristematic tissue. Third, lateral meristematic tissue. On the other side, you are seeing permanent tissues, simple permanent tissues. Again, you are very familiar in junior classes: parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. And complex permanent tissues are xylem and phloem. So based on structure, based on position, based on properties, we divide the tissues into two: meristematic tissues and permanent tissues. Again, permanent tissues based on nature of the cell, simple permanent tissue, complex permanent tissue. So the three basic types of plant tissues, just we said. Parenchyma, when we take the section, this is how they look like under a microscope. Parenchyma cells with a lot of intercellular spaces. Between the two cells there is space. So it is very, very soft, parenchyma. Whereas look at the collenchyma, there is no intercellular space at all. Plus something is black, black color thing is there. Some chemical is present in that collenchyma. And look at the sclerenchyma, it's just like stone. So they are writing it as stone cells. And this stone cell nature is because of a peculiar chemical called lignin. So we say lignified walls. Okay. So sclerenchyma is the toughest. And out of the three, very soft one is parenchyma. And as I said just now, meristematic tissues are very, very unique tissues. Why they are unique? They have power of division. Until what time this power? Throughout life, power of division. So characteristics: cells are thin-walled, have abundant cytoplasm, retain power of division, and no intercellular spaces. That's why it's very, very important. Look at that. The meristematic tissue in the tip region, as you are seeing, stem, apex and root tip showing apical meristematic tissue. So they continuously divide. And as I said, meristematic tissue is divided based on the position. And I said first apical, apex, meristematic tissue that is present in the apex, that is tip of the root, tip of the stem, tip of the leaf, like that. So it occurs in all the apexes. and it causes mainly increase in length. That's responsible. Axillary buds are present in axils of leaves. Look at this again, meristematic tissue continuously dividing and forming better cells. And then lateral meristem. Lateral means side. These occur on the sides and take part in increasing the girth. See, if apical meristematic tissue is responsible for increasing the length or height of the plant, lateral meristematic tissue is responsible for increasing the girth or width or circumference of the part as well as the tree. So it's arranged parallel to sides of organs. It causes increase in width, and the example that we can give is vascular cambium and cork cambium. Look at that, vascular cambium and cork cambium. Look at that, yellow one cork cambium and the indigo one vascular cambium. And you can also see between the two vascular bundles intervascular cambium also. So as these the increases, the girth of the stem also increases. And then intercalary, these are they are present in between the two sessions. These help in elongation of the organs and are commonly found in the base of the leaves and above or below the nodes. Wherever two nodes are there, in between the two nodes, this meristematic tissue is present. So it increases the length. Look at this. You can see two nodes, and in between the two nodes you can see the internode, and in that internode this meristematic tissue will be present. See that red color one, intercalary meristematic tissue. That's why it's responsible for. Based on origin, promeristems. This is the first one, first meristem. Group of meristem in embryo only. That's why pro. Give rise to primary meristem. Look at this, promeristem in the embryo. Okay, and then primary meristem. It's little bit matured. Cells produced and differentiated into primary. Differentiation started. So just now we said apical meristem, vascular cambium, intercalary. You have seen. And what are all the tissues that we see in a root? Apical meristem will be present in root cap. Dermal, ground tissue, vascular tissue. These are the three: dermal, ground, and vascular. Dermal layer, epidermis will be there. Ground tissue is the cortex that gives the bulk of the circumference. And vascular tissue, xylem and phloem, vascular bundles. Vascular tissues is nothing but presence of xylem and phloem. And you know, xylem is responsible for conduction of water and minerals. Phloem is responsible for transport of food, starch. So, the secondary growth will be there in all the plants. We'll talk in future. And there you can see the extra layers being formed that we'll discuss in our next session. The secondary meristem formed at a later stage in life of a plant from permanent tissues by a process called de-differentiation. So cork cambium, intervascular cambium will be formed. This is how the vascular cambium will be present in the root. And then we have got permanent tissues. We said two types. Why do you call them first of all permanent tissues? They lost the power of cell division. That's why they are called permanent tissues. They lost the power of cell division. So simple permanent and complex permanent tissues. Simple permanent tissue composed of only one type of cells, and complex will be more than one cell. So the permanent tissues, simple permanent, which are made up of one cell, only one type of cell, parenchyma, collenchyma, sclerenchyma. Complex, xylem and phloem. Let's see in parenchyma. So the parenchyma, thin-walled, isodiametric, retain capacity to divide at maturity. There is a little intracellular, no intracellular. Main function is storage. It stores food. When parenchyma has got even chlorophyll, it is called chlorenchyma. It makes the plant to undergo photosynthesis and forms major component of any organ. Intracellular will be there, okay? And in parenchyma, you can see this is the cell, typical parenchymatous cell. So collenchyma, on the other hand, we talked about it, it's a bit tougher than the parenchyma. Cells are more mature and they are variously shaped. Cell wall is unevenly thicked, and They are mainly responsible in the presence of epidermis in the dicot and provides both strength and flexibility to growing organs. Look at this. This is how the tissue will be there. Sclerenchyma. And Sclerenchyma, this is the only dead tissue. Sclerenchyma is the dead tissue. Remember this. Cell wall is lignified. There it is not lignified. They are living tissues. Parenchyma and collenchyma are living, alive. Sclerenchyma is dead. Okay, and here lignin is there. So having lignin, it makes Sclerenchyma tough, and being tough, Sclerenchyma gives mechanical support. And it has two types of special cells, scleroids and fibers. The scleroids are called stone cells. They are very, very thick, narrow lumen, and it occurs in nuts, shells of nuts like coconut, how tough it is to break, it. And fibers, elongated, thick-walled cells, generally occur in groups, present in xylem, phloem, and cortex and pericycle. See, look at this. This is how they will be present. So in our next session, we'll talk about xylem and phloem.